Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another round of ORL. Today we are in Russia at the Sochi Autodrome for round number 18. So we're slowly rounding up this season with just 4 races to go, 22 this year. And yeah, as I said, we are going to Russia into the qualifying in the B split. And well, we hopefully get to see some quick times around this Olympic circuit track. It was built around the Olympic Park for the Winter Games 2014. Yes, the track is how long is it? 5.848 kilometers or 3.6 miles long and has 18 turns. And the lap time we are aiming for is, at least in the dry, which we should be, as it looks at the moment. The lap times we are aiming for are the 130s, or if possible, a mid to high 129 times. Those are the quickest currently set in time trial, so basically we will be a few hundreds, maybe a second off of them. So I'm not sure if we will see any time in the 129s. But for now we will be seeing the drivers getting out of the pit lane, starting their first hot lap. Russia, more of a track where you can go for a soft medium strategy, not really tire consuming, and that's what the grid is looking like today with your Black Panther and not even sure who is that. So a lot of cars going out, so basically everything except for 6 guys. We said no, just gonna wait a few more minutes until the other guys have finished their first opening laps, and then they will be out there on track for sure too. And that's the thing you shouldn't do in Russia, as we just saw from Black Panther cutting the track. We have a lot of those about 90-degree corners, and most of them you can cut very easily on the outside at the end. And yeah, so I think we'll see a lot of penalties. Also another tricky section here, turn 14 to 17 is it, I think. First those two, and we get the first yellow flag in sector 3, beautiful. Those two corners and the ones before, pretty tricky combination. Gotta get them right, and then this is the last turn. No, this is not the last turn. This is the last turn. We just get the best speed out of at this moment, but in the end, the exit doesn't really matter as long as you can cross the line. Most important thing is then the entry to get as fast into this corner as possible, because the time will be recorded on the line of just a few meters after the corner. So we can just now we see a purple sector time. So why don't we stay on board with Kid Pitchko going through the rest of the second sector, and that's pretty wide, and that was what I was talking about earlier. Those going wide through those corners are pretty much safe corner cuts. If the game doesn't give you a penalty, then there's definitely something wrong. We maybe can watch Arson, but I'm not sure if he's stuck behind Lucho and therefore slower. Lucho is going for the pits again, and Arson also has invalidated his lap time. And we got the first time of a 1:30.4 from Crew 6. First time was actually from Flash. But there we go. Immediately into the 1:29.8. So they are still possible in not time trial mode in the real qualifying. But we'll see who will also get into those times, and one of them is Svetkov, getting a high 1:29.9, and below there we see some low 1:30 times from Philippe Nunes and Karlsruhe, and also Crew 6 is getting a mid 1:30. That's how we had that time, I think. We've got some more. So we see most of the guys out here have already done a lap, but here we go with complacency, setting a quick lap, but there are still a few seconds missing on his lap time, so you might have to wait a bit and see whether he can get a better time. And in the meantime, Polyakov is also getting into the pits, and so is basically everyone else. Except for the Alfa Romeo of Lucio and the Haas of Calvin. Of course, the Haas... oh, I don't want to talk trash. I think I should be Grosjean, right? Who had the big crash today. Very unfortunate event. Fortunately, he's fine. At least kind of fine. Of course, it's always a big shock getting in a crash like this with an explosion that big and a fire. But wish him all the best. Yeah, we're here going on. Maybe we can watch Lucio a bit, because Lucio, well, he could be a candidate for I'm sure about pole position, but for at least positions further up. And yeah, I mean, he won last race, so I mean, I think he qualified 5th last week, but in the end it could though be a really good time he's setting out. So let's watch this lap. First of all, we are going down the main straight, pit straight, and the first DRS straight here with a little bend in it, and then going down into the first turn. We have to be careful about this little left kink where you can easily go too wide, of course prohibited, and then beautifully over the curb on the left side through this long left hand. I want to see very nice wheel-to-wheel battles there through the next 90-degree right-hander, and of course another one. Now sector 2 is a bit boring until the second DRS straight. Here, those big sausage curves, you have to watch out for those big sausage curves, because in this game version they really make you much slower, but you have to use the rest of the curb, of course. And now we're at the now we're at the end of the sorry, just got confused there a bit. At the end of the second DRS straight, and got this little bit of a tricky combination there. Turns 14 to 17. The last 4 corners we just not really saw, because out of turn 14, the second turn after the long straight, it's really hard to get the power down to get the grip onto the tires. And Lucio is setting a 1:30.0, pretty quick time. Just 100 is missing him to go on into the 1:29s. To get even further up the standings, but I mean, even though that's a quick lap, and he would be on the podium if it stays like this. So let's see, who can we watch else? We've got Pitchko currently on a hot lap. At least I'm assuming. Yes, through this. Oh, but that does not look very fast. So he's surely letting people pass. Exactly. So that is not a hot lap. And maybe we can see another try from Daniel Valle. He's just also bombing down the main straight. Trying to aim for a quicker time, and that could have been a corner cut. Not really 100% sure about that, but that was a bit wide though. And well, here we go. The game didn't give him a penalty, at least as far as I know. Here we go into sector 2, into those. Oh, and there we go. Lap invalidated, so we don't have to care about the cut at the beginning anymore. Maybe it was already invalidated earlier, but I'm not sure about that. Then we'll just watch Svetkov, who is, I think, just a few hundred meters behind Daniel Valle. And, well, hopefully he'll get a chance to set an even quicker time, because that would bring him up into provisional pole position. And we have just 7 minutes and 40 seconds left. And there we go. He sets a purple sector 2. And here is this tricky turn, also with this uphill chicane. Camera doesn't show the car. Beautiful. Always a bit of lockup, seeing the guys are on their absolute limit. And oh, that was pretty wide. And we have Cyphers. I thought Cyphers was racing in the A split, but no, I probably missed that one. I think he was racing in the A split last time, but now he's back. Or is it the others? Is it another Cyprus? No, I don't think so. Why didn't I check that earlier? Nope, Cyprus is called Patrick. Cyprus, correct. So, for everyone who doesn't know, he won the Belgium Grand Prix. So basically, we know that he's very quick, and Zetkov even got the time, I think, even though that was not really a valid end of a lap. And Cyprus invalidated his lap, so therefore he won't set another one, but that's only his cooldown lap to go into the pits again for sure. We can maybe take a time to look at some other drivers, for example, Flex's Marcy, who's just starting or stopping a lap? No, I think he's starting. And well, here we go down the main straight, down through turn number 1 and 2, and then into the long turn number 3. But also already invalidated. I told you we have a lot of penalties and invalidations to come. But that's quite normal in the hot lapping mode in qualifying, to have a lot of invalidation, because of course the drivers are pushing to their absolute maximum, and they don't really, well, they have to care about track limits, but they don't really like to care about track limits. But of course, somehow you have to measure when somebody is going too wide into a turn, to just avoid unfair advantages for different drivers, because some respect the limits and some just don't, but don't get punished for. So therefore we have to have these penalties. Adam Rees said his time I won 30.6. Maybe take a look at Crew 6. It's one of the only guys left there out on track still. But for sure, we're seeing their Ferrari of Juarez is again out on track, and we will sure seeing the other guys getting ready too, and then they will be surely getting started for their last try in this qualifying. Daniel Valle also wants to snatch pole from Patrick Cyphers, and I mean, we have a very tight field up there, and R18 has just pushed himself up between Daniel Valle and Cvetkov, with also a 129 time, 129.7, and we've just got amazingly quick drivers here on the track today, and therefore we just will see an amazing race, at least I hope so. And well, for that, Crew 6 is going into the pits, and we see the back markers, at the moment at least, heading out for another lap, as is Arsen and Till. Till also one who's in the upper midfield. Also trying to get the first podium, I think. Didn't manage to get one yet, but is of course looking for it every race, trying for it every race. And well, if you just keep improving, keep trying, you'll pretty sure be able to assure your one podium. Oh no! Well, what am I talking about? Till has already won a Grand Prix. No, that was the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku, and in Belgium he went third. So nothing about getting his first podium. He wants to get another podium and maybe another win. But of course, starting from 8th is not the optimal position. But that's why he's out there improving again. And here we see Dave Gaming heading around the last turn, the final turn, onto the main straight. And with the DRS wide open, see him hitting the 210 miles. No, wasn't enough. Nearly, but wasn't quite enough. And through the long left-hander, very nice drive, just flat out, and steering wheel a bit to the right, but you have to hit kind of the right angle to get a quick time around it. And then we go into the 90-degree turns off the second sector. Basically, most of the track consists of this 90-degree turns. If you take a look at it, there are just a few bends in the straights mostly, which change the track a bit up, but the rest of it is just 90-degree turns, and the big 180 left turn we see. And here we go down the second DRS straight. Oh, and someone cut there, but I think he just wanted to give some space to the other drivers who are still trying. And Calvin retired from the session, probably thought there's no sense in going any further, and he retired in the pits, so he just said, well, that's my final time, I'm gonna stay there. In 4th, Calvin won last race, was 2nd in her last race. No, Lucho won last race, that I've said that before. And Calvin was 2nd exactly, and Julian was 3rd last race. Julian isn't there today, unfortunately, but Lucho and Calvin are. So Dave set a 131.8, if this was the last time he set, I'm not sure about that. But we can see all of the guys are again out there for another hot lap. Lucho is just trying to get his new one, and he just got it by just a few seconds. Oh no, he retired. He didn't try. Don't really see why, but okay, if he thinks so. Then we maybe just hop on with Cvetkov. We've been on the way with Daniel Valle already, but Cvetkov invalidated his lap. Cyphers is on a hot run, has another purple sector. And will we be seeing the 28 mark being completely smashed today? That would be an amazing record, and maybe he can get it new. Not quite, but a bit. 1.5 tenths up on his own time. Then we'll just have to wait for Daniel Valle, who just went into the wall after his time, and the rest of the drivers is now completing their laps. Calcifer, for example, going through the more tricky combination. That will be fun later on in the race. But we have one thing for sure. HYPERX is again your pole sitter as we had in Belgium. Oh, Calcifer validated his lap, so there's no real sense in watching him, but everyone else went for the pits. We're just waiting for them to finish their animations or retire. But as I said, we have HYPERX in pole position as in Belgium. Looking for another win, of course, but I have to say he's a hell of a driver, a very quick one, and I'm sure he will take this one if nothing happens along the way. Because, yeah, you know how racing is, and if nothing happens, he should have this win in his pocket, but we'll just gonna wait. We're seeing here the animation finishing. Then Tsvetkov alongside him, Arsen Kardanov and Philippe Nunes in third and fourth, battling of course for the win too. Then we have Daniel Valle and BGG Calvin and Daniel Valle have sitting in the third row. Of course, Daniel Valle looking for another win because he's currently net leading the championship, because Gedoned isn't really competing anymore, and a win would bring him in front of Gedoned. And Calvino, of course, looking for another podium. Krusix, Lucio, Till, and Calcifer rounding up the top 10, and the rest of those we will see in just a few seconds, heading into the race. And there we go, session starts very soon, and well, hopefully you will see some interesting things. I mean, in terms of strategy, it won't be that much of a mix-up, because as we've seen in qualifying, everyone went for the softs, so tire degradation isn't really a big thing here. Just for people who maybe have damage early on, who can try to run with the hards from lap 1 or 2. They will maybe have to do some tire saving, but everyone else will not have much problems. And there we go, HYPERX is leading the pack away from the grid. Zetkov in second, as I said, Arsen Kardanov, Philippe Nunes, Calvin and Daniel Valle, then with Krusix in seventh and Lucio in eighth. Winner of last time, and he for sure wants to try and get up there, those 7 places. Then Till in ninth, also someone who's looking for more than just 9th position. Calcifer in 10th, Flash in 11th, Pitchko in 12th, then with Dylan and Polyakov, Alexis, Marcy and Adam Reese. And here we see the predicted strategy, and I think the first one isn't too bad. We have a pit stop from the softs to the mediums after about 10 to 14 laps. Going further down the grid, we have Flexis, Marcy, Adam Ruiz in row number 8, and with Warriors and Dave in row number 9, and Black Panther and Complacency rounding up the grid as the last 2. And yeah, we just have to wait and see how the drivers warm with the tires, of course, and then Julian will be hopefully driving next time. Unfortunately, kind of 10 today, but no problem. I mean, he joined during the season, so there's no really prize he will compete for, or not really a position he will compete for. But next season, when you start from the beginning on, everyone who starts from the beginning on will have a chance on getting that first place, getting that championship win, driver championship win of the ORL B split. But now we are lining up for the start of the Grand Prix, and I'm trying to find a fitting camera angle, but we're getting ready for round number 18, and there they are. 4 lights, 5 lights, and it's lights out, and away we go. And who gets the better start? Is it now? And it's looking good for Patrick, but Svetkov is already alongside Arsen, and we have a 3-way battle behind them. Arsen Karanov is attacking kind of Cyprus, but there at the back is a lot of damage. Oh, and we see a Haas do nearly the same as Romain Grosjean today, and I think that's instantly a safety car. Beautiful, no. Very unfortunate, just caught that on the left side of the cam. Very, very, very hectic start. A lot of trouble there. And here we go, from complete action, from nearly a 4-way battle we saw back there. That's why 2 of them cut the corner. I think it was Daniel Valle who also cut the corner. And of course Arsen was already close to Patrick, but couldn't really make the move done. So I think, Dave gets the first penalty for ignoring a yellow flag. Maybe just a bug from the game, I hope not. But here we go for an instant safety car, and maybe some of the back markers. We didn't even take a look at tires. No, that one, I wanted to look at that one. And yes, some of the back markers tried to go for a medium soft strategy, so basically for a reverse one, and you have to say congrats to complacency. He just won 5 places from the start of, oh, heartbreaking there by Patrick Cyprus. He got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. Not even that braking couldn't really stop that from happening. We see there the yellow lights on the on the left hand side and on up where the red lights were. And there's Patrick closing into the safety car. That's what I wanted to talk about, and that those are for sure the guys who have damage. That'll be Kalsifer, Polyakov and Dave. Kalsifer is trying for a hard tire, and that's what probably is the promising strategy, but that is also the most risky one, of course, because you're going, well, now only, we're not on lap 3, we're just on lap 2. He will be going for about 25 laps on that hard tire, and that will take him a bit of tire saving, even though, as I said, Russia is not a hard track to the tires. And yeah, we're not just waiting for the restart. Probably it won't take that long. I'm not sure about getting out already this lap, but next lap for sure, because the safety car queue basically formed itself already, and I think the game recognizes that. Dave is the last one to close into the line, and then we have a complete beautiful train, of course, and I think there was a bit of a switching around because of the braking. Yeah, most of the drivers want to drive way faster than the safety car, but, well, they can't. Or they can, but that's not allowed, and that will get them penalties. And we go for another lap behind the safety car, which will basically be completely boring and unnecessary, but Cyprus is heading into the pit lane, and I'm not sure for what. I don't know if he tries to make his drive-through penalty, but that's not possible. I don't know if he knows that. I hope he does, because you should know that. Because a pit stop on the mediums doesn't really make sense. I mean, a pit stop onto a hard tire is a valid strategy. Where's Kalsifer? There he is. I just saw him. Well, He's just disappeared. But and Dave went for another go through the pit too, and got new tires as well. I don't know if those guys knew they could serve their drive-through under this. I mean, Dave had a 5-second time penalty, so he has been serving that, I think. Because, well, you serve the time penalty just while doing the pit stop, and that's the reason why he doesn't have a black and white flag anymore next to his name. But for Patrick Cypers, this probably cost him the win, because I don't think this was an intended stop, and he would have to fight back, and he has to still serve this drive-through penalty. So that'll be tough. That'll be tough for him. As we're going around here, and now the safety car should come in, because yes, line is formed. We're now about 3 laps, well, 2 laps behind the safety car, 3 laps under safety car, or 2.5. But yeah, now we go for the restart, and Arsen has the first place on the restart. He sets now the speed, and he's going very well down. But that's normal procedure to stay at about 60 miles per hour, as long as the safety car is returning to its position in the pit lane. And we'll be watching, of course, what Arsen is making out of his restart. And he gets on the pedal early, I think, and is already on full speed. And at the back there, we can see everything is way much more ordered than last time. Just look a bit behind what happens. I don't think there's much. We have a battle there between those two, Adrian Ruiz and Pitchko. And it was side-by-side action between both of them. And we see there, Cyprus is already fighting up a few places. As we're, again, for the first time, we're really going racing in Russia. But unfortunately, in the second sector, it's quite hard to overtake. So basically, most action will happen after the first corner, or after the deer straight, where you can very well go side to side, wheel to wheel. And here we go, we have Dylan closing in on Flash, making the move stick around this little bend inside. Beautifully done, and past Flash now. There we go. For the 5th lap, I think, and the DRS should be activated soon, because of the safety car. Of course, it wasn't enabled in lap 3, but therefore we maybe will see it now. And no, I don't think so. Then another lap until we get the DRS enabled, but we for sure will see some switching positions back here. We have Polyakov, who's battling Black Panther, and of course Cyprus, who is fighting back. Wrong direction. Cyprus, who's trying to fight back up, but in front of him is currently Warrace. Ooh, and a bit of lockup for both. And now we go here side by side, wheel to wheel. That's how you go through those turns. And then, a bit much contact there. Oh, no way. That just didn't happen. But how did Warrace really survive that? That's so unfortunate for Cyprus. First the drive-through penalty, then hitting Warrace in the battle, and Warrace has no front wing at all. He has the virtual safety car to come back into the pit lane to not lose that much time, because without the virtual safety car he would be already falling behind. And Cyprus has left the session. I would be and the British safety car ends now, I would be really, really angry. And yeah, I just can't describe the feelings he will most likely have. But there we go, DRS is enabled. But probably not for Whereas, who's now heading for the pits, of course, for another set. Not another set of tires, but another set of front wing. And here we see the front pack. There's some action going on. Till tries his overtake onto Crew 6, and here we go. Polyakov making his way past Complacency after going past Black Panther last time. And but Complacency doesn't really give up here. He wants to try it around the outside, of course, of this turn. This most likely works if you get the same or a bit better exit out of turn number 1. Or it is actually 2, I think, because the bend is counted as a turn exactly. And the big one is actually 4. But that about the core numbers. Here we see Adam Ruiz fighting for position number 8 against Flash. And Arsen has settled in there in front of Svetkov and Filip Nunes. I mean, he's still holding it behind, even though both of them have DRS on each other now. And, well, it's looking settled, but it looks like Svetkov is trying to go for something there. ERS is still pretty much charged, but can't really make use of that at the moment. Most likely need to try it around turn number 4, because this is 2 and this bend is actually counted at 3, but no, Svetkov just can't make it stick around the first few turns and has to wait behind. And Pichka and Adam Ruiz are battling. I think Pichka just overtake Adam Ruiz because Adam Ruiz was battling with Flash, if I'm correct. And here we go. We have already Lucho here. Started on position 9. Yellow flag, second one. Probably just a slower car. With all Daniel Valley fell down. Oh no, he didn't really fell down. That was the pit stop during the first safety car, going on the hard tire, trying to have a better strategy than everyone else. But all of the other drivers are of course still out there, and especially Lucho is trying to get some good points here and trying to get past Filip Nunes to yeah, maybe get another podium, maybe even a win. We'll also see how strategy-wise the people are going into the pits. Of course, the most pressure is on Arsen because oh, and there's a Mercedes below that. Looks like Adam Ruiz. You made a mistake in the last sector, in the last few turns, and is now not long. Oh, Whereas is a bit. Oh. And Daniel Valley gets 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. Why is Daniel Valley going into the pits again on already being on the hard tire? Was the hard tire a mistake? I think it was, most likely. And further up we go, for example, Dylan surely looking on Flash, but doesn't really work. It's the sector 2 where the overtakes are pretty hard because the corners are just not made for overtakes. But we are closing in into the second DRS straight. Maybe see an overtake. What will Dylan do? Can he do the overtake on Flash down this straight? Because his DRS wing opens, but is he fast enough? Had he a good enough exit for the overtake? And he doesn't went for it. He didn't went for it. He didn't go for it. Didn't go for it. And therefore has to stick behind Flash for another lap. And that's Now, maybe not another lap, because he gets another chance on the start and finish straight. And there we go, till swaps up places as Felipe Nunez, Lucho and Crucix are all pitting onto probably the medium tire. That's the most likely choice, and they're getting now overtaken by nearly everyone, and yes, that looks like medium tires to me. And here we go. In the meantime, Dylan made his overtake on Flash. Not a big problem, but Flash isn't giving up. He doesn't want to give this position away, and there we see him on the cam. He's riding side to side, going side by side through turn number 5, and still wheel-to-wheel battle. That's a beautiful one through turn number 6, but the outside line has just the better possibility to go there with a higher speed, and we see warnings rushing in, 3 at a time, I think. Or not warnings, it was penalties, and there. Oh, Dylan is hitting the wall. What's happening there? The Alfa Romeo of Polyakov, and what happened to Dylan? He hit the wall there without really a reason, and Dylan is now, of course, fighting up, and as well are Flash and Pichko going. No, Dylan's fighting up. Pichko, Flash, and Polyakov have overtaken Dylan because he got some damage. I don't know why he went into the wall there. It doesn't really explain to me. But here we go for another lap, and Orson is still out there on his soft tires, while Svetkov and Till have now also pitted. And now basically the back of the grid swapped into the front. Everyone who has a high number of laps on their tires has not stopped yet, at least until strategy wise. I mean, Calcifer, for example, he maybe doesn't need to stop again. There's possibly no real reason to stop it. Oh, and there we go. Philip Nunez getting a time penalty. Where is he? There is he. For too many warnings. But Arsen has now a quite comfortable lead. The question is, where are his contestants? It's basically Zvetkov. Oh no, not that. It's Zvetkov, who is 23 seconds behind. Well, that should be enough for a pit stop to come out in front. And here we go, battling again. Flash and Pichko giving it everything. We'll see a rematch of that onto the main straight. Well, Flash this time he'll fast enough to overtake Pichko for provisional podium places. They're at the moment on battling for third, but in the net race lead is still Arsen Kardanov, which could change now. We'll have to watch what happens with Arsen if he can stay in front of Svetkov, and Svetkov is coming around the bend already, and there he goes past Arsen. Lucho is going past Arsen. Felipe Nunez is going past Arsen. That was a really bad pit stop decision, and he goes to the left there to cut up Till, who also wanted to gain a place, but Arsenault swapped back a lot of places. In the net lead is basically Zvetkov. Well, we have to keep an eye on Calcifer, whether he can stay up there or if he gets overtaken by nearly everyone, because this hard tire strategy could actually be a bit faster. Or at least faster for some of the back markers, because if he then just can hold some people back on 7th or 6th place, that's perfect for him, that's perfect points. We're still on the run with Arsen, and we'll just switch up a bit to Flash and Dave battling at the moment. Again, through those nasty combinations of 14 to 17. And now going on to the main straight again, we'll have here Dave, and we see this pit stop, pit window open again. And there goes Dave, closing in and going for a move. No, he just hides against it, but he'll for sure be taking the opportunity around the left-hander now. Going side by side if he's fast enough, but that doesn't look like it to me. And there isn't really enough space to go alongside there. But Arson is closing in on Philippe Nunes. Maybe that's something nice to watch. Well, those close battles are always nice, and he's basically driving in the gearbox of Philippe. We'll have to see what he can make out of it. And we're going for another DRS straight, so there is the opportunity to overtake. But that will basically be his race. I don't know if he will be able to swap up. I mean, Svetkov is of course happy, and there he goes. Beautiful overtake with DRS. Just nothing Flash really can do against it. No, that was not Dave and Flash. That was Arson and Philippe Nunes. And Dylan, he retired from the race. Oh, he hit the wall somewhere there. Just let me see. Oh, there on the right hand side. And another safety car. That's maybe good for the medium runners. Not really, because the soft tire could last 13 laps. But the thing is, it will be really done until at the end there. So maybe some of the guys will go for it. Kalser is going onto a medium set, so trying to another strategy. Black Panther's going on the hard because he doesn't believe in the soft, I think. Went for the mediums at the beginning, but we have Pitchko leading the pack at the moment. Current net lead should still be with Svetkov, who's currently in 5th position. Then we have Lucho, who is currently in net 2nd and started in 9th position. So Lucho is really... he's lacking a bit of qualifying pace, but in the race he's just doing an amazing job. I mean, he's basically on the same strategy as everyone else on these, so he doesn't really have a disadvantage in tires or something. He just fought his way up there and is behind Svetkov, and after the restart, basically everything is set. There is a reset, so he still has a chance on the win. But of course, Svetkov doesn't want that to happen. Will do everything against that. And Dylan left the session as well as Cypers. A lot of crashes and disqualifications we have. So a lot of trouble, and we see an overtake from Lucho to Svetkov now. Of course, on the safety car, overtaking is not allowed, and he just went for avoiding action to not hit Svetkov in the back. And while we're waiting for the rest of the cars to close in to the back of the grid, and then we see the last few guys pitting. I mean, everyone who's now on just a few lap old soft mediums, all those 2 to 4 lap old medium runners can definitely make it to the end. And there we see what I have been kind of predicted, that some guys are still trying to go for it on the soft tire. I mean, as Russia is not the track, not the tire heating track, so the soft tire won't be completely done at the end. But he won't be quick anymore, that's for sure, because we've seen the pit stops around lap 7 to 8, and we saw that Arson lost a lot of time with pitting later. But even though going to the end with those soft tires could be pretty much faster than going to the end with those medium tires, especially against the other drivers who are already 4 laps out on the medium tires. I mean, those medium tires last long enough, and of course they're now tire saving. And that's maybe why also those guys picked the soft tires, because you're basically using no rubber from the tire at the moment, and Daniel Valle gets another 5-second penalty, and that's not his race. That's not his race today. It's not really working out, even though he's in 12th position, which is currently net P some. No, that's basically net P12, because the table reorganized after the last few pit stops. And there we go. Seeing the safety car in message, Svetkov and Lucho have to prepare themselves for the restart. Well, everyone has, but we will just wait for the restart to happen. Here we go with around the last few bends, with about 60 miles an hour, and it's on Svetkov's hands now. He can decide when to go back onto race pace. It's overtaking prohibited until the line, but they can go for the race pace already, and there Svetkov goes, and it's now all direction time from the drivers behind to try and get a better exit out of there. And I already see Flash getting past Daniel Valle. We have a lot of mix-up. Calciface catching Crew 6, and there are still battles going on between the Racing Point and the Haas here. And Pitchcone just nearly takes it, as well as Polyakov onto complacency. But it's something that's much more interesting to watch. Not much more, of course, every battle is interesting. But we of course want to see who will win this race and with which moves. But it looks like Svetkov is getting a bit of a gap to Lucho. Lucho is not really being able to hold on to the back. And here a lot of lockups there, going onto the second gear straight, trying to get as fast as possible exit. And then we see another few overtakes happening. And if we just look at the back of the grid here, having those three-way battles here with Dave, Daniel Valle and Flash. We've been in battles all the time. Dave now round the outside on Flax's Marcy, and ooh, that could be another safety car. That could be another safety car. I think there's Philippe Nunes is out of the race. Oh, exactly. Dave has massive damage, and we got a virtual safety car, so at least those guys won't be dropping back completely. But the virtual safety car will for sure be soon ending. And I mean, we just had a safety car, so that's as much unfortunate as possible to get now hit. And those two drivers are now 20 seconds behind the grid, or even more, 23, maybe it's about 25 seconds behind the grid. They lost so much time on that one, even more, 27, 28. They lost so much time just on this virtual safety car, just on this incident, because it's just a virtual safety car. We had the fourth the drive-through penalty for Svetkov, and that's changing up everything, because Lucho would, I think, still win in terms of penalties, because we're going racing again, because Svetkov has other penalties too, not only a drive-through, as far as I'm concerned. And Lucho is just driving it safe again, trying to come home without penalties in Russia. That's not an easy task. But here we see Svetkov, who will have to come in for the drive-through, and else he will get disqualified, and that's basically ruining his complete race. And there goes Lucho taking the lead with enabled DRS again, and Svetkov is of course dropping back, maybe even out of the points after this drive through, and Daniel Valle gets another 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. I think he already got one. And Kaltsefer is fighting his way up into third, past Till, who is also fighting for pole positions. He's fighting for pole positions. He's also fighting for podium positions again. And then we see Pichko right at the back of Till, and taking a look onto the right side, maybe trying going around the outside, but no, isn't really the best decision, he thinks, at the moment. Just wait and see. We're just a few corners away from the next DRS straight. Just get a good exit, prepare for there, and go for the overtake onto the big straight or into the kind of hairpin down there. But actually, it's basically just another big return as the rest of the track. And there goes Pichko, having more speed than Till, but he can't really make it sick. He can't really go alongside. He gets not really past Till. Doesn't really find a way around him, but that's the way he has to go for podium positions, for third place. Oh no, it's actually fourth place, because Arsen is back up there again. Right, we nearly completely forgot about Arsen, because Arsen is Arsen had the incident earlier on in the race, I think, before one of the safety cars, and he dropped back. No, he did the wrong strategy kind of, and is now behind Lucio. But I think he's just in terms of race pace that strong that he can maybe retake the lead, even though his strategy call wasn't that good. I mean, his tires are of course 2 laps younger than Lucio's, but that doesn't really affect those mediums much. There's not really a big difference between them. I mean, except if Lucio just kept pushing and Arsen managed his tires, but I don't think that was what happened. So maybe Arsen will get the possibility to retake the race lead, but then there's still a problem, which is the penalties, and Lucio will do everything to stick around with Arsen if Arsen gets past, else Lucio will just take the race win, which we will know after another 10 laps. And yeah, we'll take a look at all that, and we'll see what's most likely. But Lucio does really good setup to win. I mean, he had basically or kind of the same setup last time, but he was behind and he won on penalties. But the thing is, at the moment he's still in front, and we don't know how many safety cars are still to come. So it'll still take a lot of time. And yeah, Philippe Nunes had a very unfortunate crash down there, turn 17. F in the chat for him. That was a very unfortunate. I think Julian is thinking Pichko will win the race. Pichko is currently in 5th. Of course, he's went for the softer tires, so he should have a bit more pace, but he has to make use of them now, because in a few more laps they will have about the same grip as the soft tire, because the soft will have the same grip as the medium tire in a few laps, because they just degrade that much faster. And yeah, we'll currently see no big movements here, but as we've been talking about Pichko is closing in into Till, and basically in the back he needs to get alongside now. And the problem is still that there's this big DRS train, but the straight is so long that Till maybe has a chance, Pichko maybe has a chance, but no, it just doesn't really work. And the exit out of turn number 3 and turn number 2 wasn't really that good, so he can't get alongside Till, and Ruiz gets another 3-second time penalty. Well, I don't know if it's another, but I just guessed. Yes, it's another. 11 seconds worth of time penalties. And here we go. Still have action until the end. And Adam Rees is up in 8th. I don't know what was his best finish. Yeah, also some very unfortunate retirements this season. And I just want to look up without missing a lot of race action. Looking at on screen. So Adam Rees was already 3rd once and 4th once. So we saw him up there. We saw him on the podium, and maybe he can find himself back up there too. But that needs him to firstly not pick up that many penalties. That's of course unfortunate, but that's how Russia is, just unforgiving. We will go for another time on to the main straight. Maybe Pichka gets it this time, but it doesn't really look like it. Gap isn't really decreasing. Rees has just too much penalties to even close in, so basically you would have to stay 11 seconds in front of the position he wants to be in, kind of, to still got it. So at the moment he even drops out of points, I guess, onto 11th or 12th place. And Race gets another 3-second time penalty, and Zvetkov is overtaking placency. Exactly, those were the two which Adam Rees is most likely dropping behind to. We still this battle ongoing, but there is nothing really to move there. They're just lapping lap 11. Nobody is currently making any mistakes. That was a bit of the wrong line there from Till. So Pichka was very close again, but there's just, if you're in a corner, you can't really go for an overtake. If you went for the corner already, you can't just completely change your line. That will just screw up your time and your complete race, because that will cost you way more time than you would actually gain. So there's just no possibility then lifting, or if you're already lifted, then braking. And here we go down the main straight. Polyakov is now closing in on Pichko. And now Pichko is basically under pressure from behind and has to concentrate more on Polyakov than on Till. And there goes Pichko with a 3-second time penalty. Now also having 3 seconds, so he isn't safe from Polyakov anymore. Basically, if Polyakov had overtaken him before he got this penalty, he would still be in the lead as long as he can stick to him for the rest of the race and keeps himself in this 3-second window. But at the moment, it does look like really going to overtake Till, but he's neither will be overtaken by Polyakov. So this gap decreasing, increasing ever so slightly, but there's nothing really happening, even though the times are that close together. We just see tight racing up front without any contact, unlike we've seen today, unfortunately, with crashes and after today's pretty good camera movement today. Nearly caught every crash somehow on camera. That was kind of good to see. But we are now at lap number 23, so everything is slowly closing up. If you want to make some overtakes, you have to do it now. The drivers will be in. If if the drivers have some help from race engineers or just somebody who's sitting with them in Discord or their team colleagues, I'll be saying, well, now it counts. Just a few laps left, about 4.5. And then it's the checkered flag, and it'll be the end of the Grand Prix. But Pichko's getting kind of close to, till now, under the 300, under 3/10 of a second. And let's see if he can keep that. Maybe he analyzed a bit how Till goes around the corner, so maybe he knows now how to tack. But basically, always something to look for is to not be too close. As you, for example, drive through the corner before a DRS straight or a long straight. Because the thing is, if you have to lift in the corner because the one in front is just going slow, you will be even slower and therefore losing time on him. If you just have a bit of a gap to him, not much of course, you still have to keep in mind that you wanted to do the overtake. But if he goes a bit slower than you through the corner, then you still have your gap. You can go faster through the corner your way, your racing line. And then you can take him onto the next race, onto the next straight, because well, you just got the better exit. But at the moment, that there's not really much to do except for Panther going past Adam Ruiz, and Adam Ruiz trying to go for a pass again. Pitch goes again, so close onto Till, but can't make the move stick. As well as Arsen to Lucho again. Pretty close. And it's just hell tight racing. And we're seeing here Adam Ruiz getting his position back onto Black Panther. But we don't want to miss any action at the front. So we'll for sure switch back to those front runners. A lot of switching around today. But if this race just keeps up as tight as it is, I mean, look at those times. And there Arsen goes, just completely focuses on Lucho. We can't make the move stick. Maybe round for Nocturne number 4. Is there any possibility? And as Kalsifa goes really wide there. Also, that will be a podium for Kalsifa. And Arsen's going round the outside, and maybe he takes his possibility. No, there is no opportunity to really go faster through turn number 5 there. That was a good try from him, but it just didn't work. It just didn't work right out. Maybe he just needs to get a little bit closer onto this DRS straight, or already try to do the overtake on the DRS straight and then battle a bit onto through turn number 4. No, Sochi is also in track where they're not really corner numbers now, right? And then here we go, Black Panther gets another time penalty, and there we go. We see Kalsifa going head to head with Arsen Kardinov at the end of the second DRS straight and making the move stick. So Kalsifa is now basically battling against Lucho, not anymore Arsen, but as long as Lucho can stay within a 3-second window even behind them, he will still win the race, and they have just 2 laps left to complete their moves and gain a gap of 3 seconds onto Lucho. And Lucho is still in the lead, so it's basically 4 times DRS now, and 4 times defending for Lucho. Maybe we can take a look. Lucho has at the moment 20% DRS, all managed about the same way, and now everything's headed into a very hot phase of the race. It's just so tight for them at the front there, and see this three-way battle. If you really want to just do those overtakes, and you just want everything to stick to. And I just want to look up Kalsifa's time without missing. Oh, and Daniel Valle retired. Where did he retire? In the pit lane. We just that was not really his race. That was unfortunate for him, but that was just not his race. And Kaiser's getting close again to Lucha, but not really again, but for the first time, because Kaiser just got past Arson. I have to say, I'm not really sure if Calcifer is in the table of GP split, but we are focusing on the race now. We're still one lap to go. Lucho's crossing the line, and Calcifer seems close. He looks for the pole for the victory now, but he has to make 3 seconds of this lap, and that seems like an almost impossible job to do so. And even though he's now in front, he has even 6 seconds of penalties. Means he'll swap even behind Arson, and most likely also behind Till. So most likely, our podium will look like Lucho, Till, Arson. About that, should be correct. But it's still not fought till the end. I mean, Lucho doesn't really need to take back P1. Arson, well, also, I mean, he had to drive the 3 second gap to Till to not lose the. Well, no, he will most likely be on the podium because everyone else has penalties. But Till is getting close again to Arson. Maybe he wants to make the move. He wants to make it stick. But we're here going for the checkered flag. Just a few bends, and we are going to the end of the race. Lucho will most likely win the race, but Calcifer takes it on track. Oh, and spins it around for the last turn. Spins it around, beautifully done there. Spins it around. And as I said, we got Lucho, Till, and Arson on the podium. It's again Lucho winning another Grand Prix with a good strategy, just great driving, coming from P9. Wasn't really I didn't really notice him at the beginning, but when he was fighting up, that was just amazing drive. Dave, who just came home, had a bit of a rough day today, as well as Cyprus, of course, and Daniel Valle, who hadn't the races they really wanted for Russia. And well, then we'll just most likely look what the drivers will say in the interviews, but here we see Lucho on the top step of the podium, Arson Carden up there to the right, and my mind just forgot the second place driver already. That's what it always does. It was Till, exactly. Lucho and Till driving the Alfa Romeo team. Exactly. Lucho and Till on first and second, then with Arson with the Ferrari on the third spot, Pichko in fourth, Flash in fifth, and Calcifer in sixth, slotted back a lot of places. Polyakov in seventh, Zvetkov in eighth, were ace in ninth, getting 2 points from way down the grid. He was, I think, starting in there's in 17th, with Crew 6 in 10th, and Black Panther in 11th, started on 19th, also a good effort. And then we got Eden Ruiz in 12th, Flexus Marcy in 13th, and Dave in 14th. Then there's of course Dave in Complacency in 15th, and Daniel Valle in 16th. And of the four not disqualifications, but 4 drivers that didn't finish the race, who are Philippe Nunes, BDG Dylan, Patrick Cyprus, and Calvin. And maybe while we're heading back to comment screen and now taking a look at what the other guys are doing. Doesn't really seem much going on at the moment, but I'll be back for hopefully with some interviews with the guys from the team. Not from the team, but from the podium. And let's see if we can invite them into the booth and then ask some questions. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna. Ooh, we got a new colors commentator. I'm just gonna hand over the word to our sponsors from HYPERX, who are providing high-end gaming gear. Make sure to check out the links in the description. Check out the Twitter. Check out the website, and maybe get yourself some new gear. But I'll let the introduction to themselves, and then we'll hopefully be back with some interviews. See you then. And there we are back from the little ad, and let's see if we got some drivers in the booth. There we go, I think we have.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, we do. What's up with the rest? Or are the permissions now set up that everyone can join the caster channel? That wasn't the case before.
They need to join voice, and then I can go.
Cool. Right. Is anyone else coming? Still coming? Voice one. Alright then, Lucho race win. You started from P8, P9, if I remember correctly.
P8.
I mean, I had you in mind from last time because you did kind of the same thing last time. You also won on penalties. You also started somewhere further down, not especially in those podium spots. I think it was a bit of strategy, but I think it's also a bit of just racecraft that brought you up there today.
Yeah. First of all, my quality wasn't that good. I had a 30 flat or something. My PB was easily 29.5, so my quality wasn't that ideal for me for my grid position. But then at the start, I know I had to avoid a McLaren, I think, because someone spun, I think, and then the safety car brought up immediately after that. So I was like P6, I think, and then some guys pitted at front, and I stayed out with some other guys, and then after the safety car, just keeping be concentrated and not getting any warnings, and I tried to undercut them, and that worked, especially at the Ferrari car, I think, and yeah, I think I was P2 at the time, and then the AlphaTauri had a unfortunate drive-through because of the VSC speeding in there. But yeah, and then I just kept my head down and was so concentrated, and I was so stressed because I had 2 warnings at the end, and I was so focused to not get any warning anymore. So I just let cars for by at the in the last lap and try to keep it clean in the track.
Yeah, the last few laps were really intense. I think 5 or 6 way battle between all of you, and it was really tight. But it didn't really. No one did really move. There were no really swapping in positions. Until then, you let Calcifer by, but well, I kind of told that already all the time because it's everyone else had penalties and you didn't. Just drove another very clean race. You have to give you that. Yeah, how are your opinions on Japan? We're heading for it next week.
It's one of the best tracks, I must say. I really enjoy the track, and it's one of my favorites, yeah, and one of my paciest.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear, but that's also what I hear often about Japan, a classic track. The only 8 on the circuit. Then we'll for sure be happy that you join us next time. And then, Till, are you there? Can you talk? I think you're muted. And Calcifer, can you unmute him? Or can he do you need to do this himself? Oh,
Thank you.
there we go. So,
Hello.
hello there. Till, you finished 7. In the end,
Yes.
kind of swapped past Arson then.
Yeah, I wasn't really trying. So.
Yeah. I mean, you you
It's
didn't
some ERS still to spend, so
you didn't really need to make the overtake, but you just won this on penalties. But
I didn't want. But I did the same race that as you did, so just 1 second behind.
yeah. But yeah, how was the race for you? I mean, we had 2 safety cars and 2 virtual safety cars, if I remember correctly. That's, I think, even more safety. No, we had 4 last time too, I think. So, how was the race for you? How was the tension?
Yes. So the first safety car came like lap 3, I think, and yeah, we were both on soft, and for me it was no point to go to the pits like Calcifer did, to go on hards. So yes, I just stick to my race pace, and yes, my main goal was to avoid a penalty, which I did in the end. So yeah, the race wasn't that exciting. So the only overtake I did was, I think, well, it was an overtake in the pits. So I did an overcut when Lucio went into the pits, I think in lap 9, and I had to push, and so went by the one Renault, and from then on it was just doing my laps, getting no penalty, and in the end I was just 1 second behind Lucio, so I'm very pleased with it.
It was pretty close. Well, it was really good with the penalties, of course, but
to be honest, I hope that Lucio get one more warning, but still P2. And 1-2 for the team.
yeah, of course, you want to get that. You want to get that first place in your race. But
it was great.
Yeah, nice race from you all. You were 9th on the grid. I just remembered that.
Recap my quali.
Yeah, exactly. What was your quali like? I mean, a 8-9 together as the Alfa Romeo, not on the same row, but still.
Yes. Well, the only time it was validated was the first one, I think, and it was 31 or something. And yeah, to be honest, in my practice sessions I was up to 4/10 quicker, so a bit disappointing. But Yes, but yeah, was lucky that everyone else was struggling with getting the lap in, and yeah, bit disappointed, but
Alright.
the race counts. So
Yeah, I mean, the race went out the way you wanted it to be. So, and what are your thoughts about Japan heading for next week? Another one who really loves the track?
yes, I love the track, but not in this game, to be honest. But still, I'm looking forward to it and try to get one extra place and grab the win. But it will be a bit difficult. Many good people went or retired this race, so it was quite easy to get a podium today. But yeah, I do not think that it will be that easy next time.
Yeah, we had Cyprus having trouble, Daniel Valle having trouble, both retiring, and then we had Arsen, who was leading, and then I think he miscalculated himself kind of in the strategy, and in the end he had too much penalties to still grab a podium place. So yeah, those were the favorites who basically fought all the way from the beginning on, but yeah, unfortunately all of them had some problems on the way. Well then, congratulations again to Lucho and Till for the win and the second place here at Russia. And yeah, then we can say good evening to you lads out there. We'll see you next week in Japan, traveling to Asia this time, to the not really small, but a bit small island of Japan. Then see you in Zikizuka. Bye bye.